Hi everybody, it's EBENLO Painter of Song coming at you from Southern California, and I would like to share with you today some knifing technique and a bit of painting. I'm working on a John Mayer painting. I've done the outline underneath. Here was the drawing. I did that first, and then came back and did this airbrushing all in here, making all of this, darks and lights. And I, did the boom kind of a starburst effect in the background. I took some blue and painted some in here with the blue. And yeah, also the other day I painted the shirt. It's not really done, it's just an underlayer because it's really sketchy looking right now. But after having done some airbrushing on it, I'm going through now and I'm doing this was acrylic paint too, so now I'm going through and I'm doing the oils. So no more acrylics, because oil after acrylic is what you need to remember to do, and not the other way around. So anyway, I got me a little cup of cocoa flavanols here, my little Disney cup that my brother gave me one time on a trip to Disney. And anyway, I really like those cocoa flavanols. It's supposed to help I don't know, keep your health good. Well, they say that they release stem cells into your blood from your bone marrow. Can't get too much of that, right? Alright, well anyway, supposedly the stem cells go around and repair your body, so that's cool. I like that idea anyway. I'll drink that cocoa for a while and see if it happens. Alright, let's get started. I've already mushed a little bit of this, and that's really what you're doing, is taking some paint. What I'm doing here is the goal. You got to remember your goal before you start getting the paint even on the page here, on the palette. What I'm looking for is like a brown kind of color to do my outlines, all on Johnny here. To do my outlines, so that way I like a lighter outline, not a black outline necessarily all the time, just like a brown for the skin tone. It'll be a brown on the very super edge, maybe like even a medium brown, and then in the skin, it'll be normal, it'll look like skin, of course, when I'm done with it. And then it'll have a nice little edge here that I just like that look, It's not necessarily found in life, a little bit. I mean, I don't know, look at your arm and see if you see, yeah, sometimes you see a shadow there, on the edge. So it makes sense, and it's visually pleasing is the point. Visually pleasing. Okay, so since that's what we're doing, I know what we're doing. Now what we do is you go and just take your black or whatever you're going to start with and just start mushing it up with the palette knife. Am I even recording? Yeah, I am. Okay, just start mushing it up, so that way it is not chunky, there's no mineral sediments in there. You got it all smushed up nicely. Now I know I'm gonna need black because it's gonna be a dark shadow on the edge, but I'm gonna take some of this brown here, and it's okay if you have paint on it when you go for the next one. Some people like to, it'd be smart to wipe the palette knife before you go for the paint, but I know I'm going to be using a lot of brown here, so I might just take this whole brown piece and just smush it in there. Now, I'll wipe it, and I don't know how much green I want. I just know I want a little. In my mind, in my experience, I know I want the green and the brown to nice earthy kind of a tone. That way, mud, is not out of the question for this particular application of the outline. It'll look good. And you just want to, like I said, mush it up so that way you're blending the colors, so that way you get a unified color. It's not just green, it's not just brown anymore, it's not just black anymore, it's a mixture of all the 3 colors here that I've got. And that's pretty good right there. What I'm going to do now, because I want a little bit of a fluid paint, I'm going to use some of my refined linseed oil. Got this at the store for $11.99. It's not terrible. It's not too expensive to paint. Anybody can paint. You just start out with the basics. Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, green. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Just start out with those. What the heck is going on with this thing here? There it goes. Oh, I hadn't opened it yet. Okay. So anyway, you just start, if you're brand spanking new, you just start with some basic colors. You can make any color with red, yellow, and blue, or indigo. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. To do what I do, you need to be a little bit more advanced in your painting skills. Not saying that I'm the best painter ever, and I'm definitely not. I'm a long way from that. But what I do is a lot of caricature. So in order to do caricature, you have to be good at painting realistic to begin with, and then you exaggerate it. So caricature is exaggerating realism, and that's not easy. But when I was starting out in drawing as a young man, like, I couldn't get enough of drawing exaggerations of people's faces, and that's what I did a lot of. Okay, so anyway, that's how you get to do learn the basics of caricature, so that way you can do this later on in life and, make paintings. Anyway, surround yourself with what you want to be more like, you know what I'm saying? Refined linseed oil, I'm just gonna dab a drop of it like that, just a little bit. And put the cap back on. Here we go. And just mush that in a little more. Now, the reason why I decided to do this is because I want the paint to flow a little bit better off the brush for the outlines. You know, I think this color is a little bit too dark. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab just a touch of white. Where did I put my white? It's not there. There it is. It's right under here. So I want to lighten that up, and so that way it's just a little bit, I don't know, just a few tints lighter than that, which is not almost black exactly, but it's pretty dark. So I'm taking a little bit. White is a very weak color, as is yellow, as far as when you go to change tints in a tone, in a color that you're mixing, you know, with your palette knife like I'm doing here. White is a very weak color, but you know what? It's doing the job right now, what I'm gonna want, I can tell. And a lot of that is experience, you know, of just going, don't over, you know, load your knife with white before you test the waters kind of thing, you know. So I like this color a lot. And I believe we've got the linseed oil kind of mixed in with most of it. I'm gonna just sit here and do a little bit more mushing. But I think we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off that palette knife and start painting with it. Painting not with the knife, but with my awesome little brush here. It's a thin one for outlines. You know, it'll come to a point when it's wet, and I don't really necessarily need that point, but I want it to be wet and smooth and loaded up enough so that way I don't have to keep dipping it. What you do here is you start on the left, upper leftmost area, which will be the head area on this side, and you go down and do these lines, and yeah, it'll be a nice outline all the way around here. But you know, you want to start left so that way you're not tracking over yourself. You see what I mean? If I started over here, I'd be over here later, and then I might track into myself, and I might smush that paint and you know, have a mistake that I have to fix later. I don't want that. So I'm going to start to the top left. Okay, let's start painting. You know what? Don't have enough medium, or no. I think I got enough linseed oil in it. What I do need now is some turpentine to be mixed in it, so that way it's much more fluid. When I tried to paint it, it barely let me paint for a bit, and then it kind of chunked up on the end there, and it stopped painting, stopped drawing a color there. So I got some odorless turpenoid here from the store. It's a little dusty, but it's okay, it's good. Turpentine substitute. I use this instead of real turpentine, so that way my whole room doesn't smell like turp. But yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little area of the paint here, right over here, that is a little more fluid, loose and fluid with the turpenoid. And all of it's the same pretty much, but this will be my little spot that I go to for the turpenoid. Here we go. This should flow really well. It is. And you can angle the brush a different way to, you know, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the line being super thick. You know, see what I'm saying? It's probably showing up here on the screen really thick. And it is thick. So, I'm gonna do the spots that I want thick, and then I'll go down to the store and buy a smaller brush, I think, because most of my small brushes I've already used a ton and kind of ruined. Okay. That's pretty good. I've got these. This might do it, but it won't flow very well because the bristles are too short. This is good. This might work. The bristles are really short, but let me try it out and see if I like it. This is a little better. I'm getting a little bit of extra brushes painting, which I don't like, but it'll be okay, I think. Shouldn't do that much of to the right yet, so I gotta go back over here and be careful. What should I do here? Oh, maybe this will do better. No? No, I feel like I need to go downtown and get another brush. And I'm trying to resist that emotion. Or whatever that desire that might come up, because I always do that. I mean, I've done that a lot in the past. Just go down and get, but I'm trying to be a person that appreciates more the things that I already have. This might do it too. I've got my handy dandy bucket of beans over here. I'll show that to you. Bucket of beans with a ton of brushes, and that's where I keep my live brushes. Okay, let's try with this brush. Try to do it with this brush right here. It's got a pretty small amount of bristles, and it's a kind of a thinner looking profile here for the brush, and it is working pretty good. Yeah, I like this. This is doing pretty good for me. Okay. The lines are effectively almost the same, but I'm liking how this is flowing better. Let's see if I can make a thin line here. See, that's pretty good. Huh. You know, I hate to say it, but I feel like going down to the store. These are not very thin lines. Let's see here. What about this? What's this? You know, this is a good one. It's got small bristles, but they're soft, and they've been kept clean after I use them. It's been kept clean after I use it. So that way I get a thinner line. Yeah, that's much thinner. I like that. That's working good. Okay, let's do some more. Okay. Another one. I'm working on the hair right now, and some people think, you know, that's a really hard, and at one point in time I thought it was a very hard thing to do as well. But in reality, everything in painting is just a series of lights and darks. And when you go to do colors, the colors are a series of light and dark within the color. And they call it a tone. If I'm not mistaken, tone is the variety of colors, that is. Tones, that is. But I think more like tint is the tint of the color that helps you make an accurate color from realism, from realistic painting, say a still life. And when you do hair, I would just suggest doing what I do here, what I've done here, which is to make the lights and darks of the hair in just the shapes that show up when you look at it closely. You notice little dark splotches in the hair, and you notice lighter areas and that are on top of dark areas, and you just sort of feel it out, you know? And like my mentor, one of my mentors is Karen Hansen. She was the high school teacher at Minico High School in Rupert, Idaho, Paul, Idaho area. And she told me that the first 100 drawings will not be as good as your second 100 drawings. And your second 100 drawings will not be as good as your first 1,000 drawings. And so on. So, that's a word to the wise, just that says, keep painting. You'll get better. Trust me, you will get better if you keep painting, if you keep drawing. In my book, I'm not a huge fan of abstract art. Personally, I feel like if you learn to draw, you will learn to paint well. And I don't know, I like representational art because I'm good at it, really. That's probably why I like it. And because I've learned what it takes to be a good representational artist. I'm not the best and most patient artist out there, but I do what I do and I have a lot of fun at it. So there's that. And I learned to communicate with my paintings. I learned to just enjoy the process. Like, for instance, those curves right there were really fun to make. You know, I use my pinky. You'll see a lot of artists use their pinky as an anchor to draw things. That's one way to do it. There is another way to do it, which is to use a dowel and put the dowel on the top of the painting. I can use this here ruler here, T-square, whatever, to show you how to do the other way of stabilizing your brush so you can get a good curve. The curves that I've done are easier to do on this side than they are to do on this side. It's a little more difficult over here, but when you get a stabilizer, that totally helps. You anchor your pinky on the stabilizer and just work your magic. Do your curve. So there's that. And I'm getting away too much outline here, and really I should not have done all this yet until I do the face, because now I'm going to have trouble, a little bit of trouble, but I'll just anchor in the area of where I need to anchor to the right of the work, for I'm right-handed. Everything's opposite for left-handers. I'm sure you hear that a lot when you're talking to a right-hander instructor, because their brains don't work the other way. Okay, anyway, here we go. Draw a little line for the eyelid. Load the brush a little more. Yeah, if you stabilize your pinky a lot, you'll find you end up sticking it out more often. And you see these people with the wine glasses, you know, then they're drinking. I don't think they're trying to look posh. I think they might be artists. Just my take. I could be wrong. But artists have to stick their pinky out a lot in moments of contemplation. So sometimes contemplation later will trigger the pinky response. I had a girlfriend once who didn't like that I stuck my pinky out every once in a while on accident. She told me to stop it, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's not much you can do with certain things in life. Some things you just have to suffer. Now I'm doing the nose. I've been when I was originally did the nose, I tried to make it really, I like the word still, demure, very, you know, not a lot of detail in there. And really just use some gestures to draw an accurate face. Like these lines around the mouth. The line in the mouth is a little more realistic, but it is exaggerated a bit. I drew down this gap here on the left hand side a little more than the representational still life, you know, the portrait called for. That's what I'm talking about. The portrait called for a certain look, and I exaggerated it a little bit more just to, you know, just kind of poke a little fun at the subject. Just have some fun with it. Okay. As you can see, it's coming out pretty decent. I think what I'll do is I'll finish up the rest after I finish his face area. Finish up the rest in a time lapse and just go along that way. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop it here and we'll go from there.